Is it good news? We've managed to track down our epidemiologist.
So let's put the question to our epidemiologist. How could someone get a cold while following COVID rules? How can it make it past all the precautions that we've been taking to stay safe? To join us to tell us more is epidemiologist and professor at the University of Ottawa, Dr. Raywat Deonandan. Do I got that right? Deonandan?
Yeah, that's close
enough. Oh, my gosh. I feel like I won a prize. Thank you so much for spending time with us this morning. And I'm sure in your line of work, as we've moved into cold and flu season, you've had this question, have you not?
Many times, yeah.
So is there an easy answer to it? Because I feel like we've done more than we ever have as far as washing our hands and staying home.
It's a little mysterious, and I don't really have an answer except to say that the colds and COVID are transmitted in different ways. So we know with COVID, it's mostly droplet transmission. That's the stuff that comes out of your lungs and falls within 2 meters. A little bit's aerosol. That's the stuff that lingers in the air a little bit longer. And maybe a tiny bit is what we call fomite transmission. That's when you touch a surface and somebody else touches the surface. That's why you wash your hands. But the common cold, it's a lot of surface transmission. So what I suspect is going on when it comes to people getting the cold and not COVID is maybe we're being a little less circumspect about how we touch surfaces. However, I'm hearing from people who wash their hands diligently all the time, and they seem to be getting the cold as well. So I doubly suspect that it's not the cold, it's probably allergies. Oh. I know I have horrible allergies, and I haven't got the cold, and or COVID for that matter, and I'm pretty sure that's what's going on. So it's confusing symptom-wise, and it's confusing transmission-wise. So a lot of questions still out there.
Doctor, what about those anti-maskers out there who would say then, well, we're wearing masks and it's clearly doing nothing. We're still all getting sick. So what do you say to that?
Well, what's the goal here? The goal here is to reduce community transmission of one specific disease, COVID-19, and maybe the flu as well. And because we know that droplet transmission is the major way of conveying that disease, mask wearing definitely works. The modeling studies come out recently show that it does actually measurably decrease transmission. So if you're worried about the common cold, maybe masks won't do anything. If you're worried about the flu and COVID, I think it does do something.
Very interesting because, we've called our kids for years little germ factories. So when it comes to the cold, we usually say, you know what, I notice it when we go back to school, the kids go back to school, and then we get cold. So can we blame our kids, if you have children, that is, or somebody else's kids?
You can always blame your kids for everything.
Okay.
It's true. That's why we have them.
Yeah, they're not washing their hands. They're touching their faces a lot. Maybe you and I are washing our hands all the time, but they are probably not doing so. Plus, they have a lot more social contacts than adults do. So they have a lot more opportunities for transmission. And they're more likely to be asymptomatic. So, in fact, maybe a quarter of people with the cold never get symptoms. And so you may have it, not know it, and give it to someone who's trying to be diligent, and yet they get it from being breathed upon or being touched.
Do we, we hear a lot of people saying with the antibacterial soaps, et cetera, that is sort of, bringing down our natural immunity to ward off these things. Do you think that has anything to do with being able to now catch the cold or the flu this year, with the fact that we are using so much antibacterial stuff and all the cleaning and everything that we're doing these days?
Okay, the two different things going on there. So first of all, the cold, the flu, and COVID are all viruses. They're not bacteria. Antibacterial soap that is specifically antibacterial treats, bacteria. So they're not related at all. But there's something to be said for our hygienic lifestyles that maybe have, over the long term, diminished our immune response to a degree. It's unclear. There's some studies suggesting that places where there's less hygienic control have fewer allergies, for example. But that's not the same as saying that washing your hands now will diminish your immunity over the next, many years. And then the things we do right now in the next few months to combat this pandemic will not impact our immune systems noticeably. Okay. We're talking about like decades of stuff that may, have no challenge to your immune system. I'm fond of telling people, if you've got a dog that licks your face, if you open your window and breathe fresh air, if you go for a walk in the park, you're inhaling all kinds of challenges to your immune system that keeps it pretty healthy. So don't be concerned about washing your hands that often. It's not going to diminish your ability to receive and accept an immune challenge.
Doctor, with all the changes over the past 6 or 7 months and, so much unknown, it could be stressful. So I'm wondering what role stress plays. If we're stressed, does it make it easier for us to get a cold?
Yeah, there's a strong correlation in literature with stress levels and diminished immune response. It has to do with cortisol levels and other kinds of hormonal responses. And it's linked to lack of sleep, restful sleep, rejuvenative sleep. So our inability to rest and to recover incrementally diminishes our capacity to mount strong responses to all kinds of threats to our health. So, of course, we want to reduce our stress levels. But it's weird because exercise is stressful. So we want to also have exercise, but not have too much exercise that you're actually, diminishing your ability to fight off germs. So emotional stress, physical stress are intermingled, and lack of sleep is part of that.
Doctor, your thoughts on the flu shot? Are you recommending that we all get it this year as just, another barrier to getting sick and maybe weakening our immune system for perhaps COVID should it come near us?
So the reason I highly recommend the flu vaccine is not that it makes you stronger against COVID. It takes you out of the picture with our diminishing healthcare capacity. Every year, flu patients eat up a lot of ICU beds. People aren't aware of that because we can't take it for granted. But the flu kills thousands of people every year and hospitalizes a great many as well. So if we don't have to deal with those flu people this semester, I'm an educator obviously, this season, then we have more capacity to deal with COVID patients. So that's the reason I'm advocating for the flu. And also, the flu symptoms are similar to COVID symptoms, and that's creating all kinds of chaos in the testing centers. So again, take those cases off the table, do your part, get the flu shot, make life easier for everybody.
Dr. Mom will tell you that chicken noodle soup is a cure for the cold. Does that have any relevance, or what should we be doing if we do get a cold?
There is some evidence that there's something like chicken noodle soup that may actually be helpful. I don't remember the exact details, but I was stunned by that revelation. If you get a cold, as always, it's rest and rejuvenation. So eat well, get a lot of rest, eat a lot of fluid, drink a lot of fluids. There's something to do with, the cold weather, the lack of humidity diminishes our ability to produce appropriate mucus that heightens, the ability of virus to get inside your system, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of stuff going on. So just eat well, rest, drink fluids.
Would you say your last and final words, Doctor? Wash your hands. Is that the key as we head forward into this cold, flu, COVID season?
Yeah, for the cold, absolutely. And for COVID, keep your distance.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us. Always appreciate your time.
Thank you.
That's Dr. Raywat Deonandan, who is an epidemiologist and a prof at the University of Ottawa.